It was an interesting night of November 30th through December 1st.
When I opened the door, got my first look, it was pretty devastating.
A 90-foot eucalyptus fell. The eucalyptus hit the cross and broke it. When it was safe to get out of our neighborhood, I drove here, and it was pretty amazing.
The whole area was covered by that tree.
Pretty amazing, the damage. And yet, in all this damage, there's Mary standing. Like, you don't mess with Mom.
The body of Christ was upside down, arms cut off, just pieces all over the place.
One of his arms broken off, both arms are broken off. He's hanging upside down.
There was just no way that I thought it could be fixed.
San Gabriel.
I was driving home from work when I heard on the news about the crucifix from the San Gabriel Mission. So I decided to go on over and see what I could do. So I called Al Sanchez, the business manager for the mission.
TerriLee Holm, who has offered to see what she can do in putting back our Christ.
My name is TerriLee Holm. I'm a member of Local 729, sign writers and set painters in Southern California. I work for the movie industry. I specialize in faux finishing and aging. I'm also a sign writer. I've worked on miniatures, movies, TV, music videos, theater, staging, pretty much everything that you need to do if you were a painter. The San Gabriel Mission has always had a special place in my heart. We used to pass by it on the way to Grandma's house when I was a kid. I used to go there a lot in college. I took my sister Betsy there a lot when she was little.
My name is Al Sanchez. I'm the business manager of San Gabriel Mission. I've been here for a little over 10 years. And on the evening when we got the horrible windstorms in Southern California, I got a call saying, I think there's some damage in the mission. When I opened the door, got my first look at the damage, it was a lot more than I had been told. Big eucalyptus tree that knocked over one of our prized possessions here in the mission, a crucifix that had been here since the 30s, along with a statue of one of our apostles, the Apostle John. And of course, the whole area was covered by that tree.
Chuck Lyons, Lyons, San Gabriel Mission, Director of Art Relations, Media, Gardens, Gift Shop, many numerous jobs as nonprofit. Why wasn't Mary knocked down? When the branches fell, here's John, Jesus on the crucifix of Mary. 3 branches fell, took out John, knocked him off, and split his head open, broke Jesus on the cross, but yet the third one fell and seemingly went out of its way around Mary.
The crucifix was, in my opinion, beyond repair. It was an awful scene. I mean, the crucifix was upside down, arms cut off, pieces all over the place. It was just left like that until I decided what to do. But then I got calls from TerriLee Holm through the pastor. He says, you know what, you should follow up on this one. I think this one is legit.
He gave me a big bag of pieces, all the fingers and toes and feet that had broken off when the statue fell. It was upside down, the arms were broken off right about the bicep.
This is crucifix. No one knew what it was. Is it metal? Is it cast iron? We didn't know what it was. Some people came here, didn't know what it was. Nobody knew what it was, but very brittle, very brittle.
And so we had to determine how it was we were going to fix this. When I realized that it wasn't wood or plaster or something that I could fix, I knew it was time to call in some people who really knew what they were doing.
My name is Tom Trefethen, and for as long as I can remember, I've had a passion for design and a passion for building things. So over the years, I've developed skills in woodworking, working with metals, working in plastics, and working in what today we refer to as composites, which most people would think of as fiberglass and related materials.
I'm Tina Trefethen, and I have a small business doing design, engineering, and fabrication on some very unique projects. And I think I'm in for another one. Some of our special projects are very long-term. I worked on America's Land Speed Record car for over 6 years. We've worked with a group called Diablo, a dance troupe in LA that does spectacular extreme dancing. I've been approached to see what I can contribute to saving this beautiful traditional sculpture that has been damaged in the storm. We're hoping to stick with traditional methods for reconstruction, and if not, we've got a lot of options here.
Often in these cases, it takes more than one method and more than one material. So we're just going to have to figure it out.
Well, we're off to McCluskey Ltd, where Tina is assembling her team for all the metalwork. First she speaks to Tony. He's going to be helping her with the welding. Then she consults with Pepe, the metal expert. He's going to determine whether or not we can even weld this material. In the meantime, Tina is getting ready to assemble the pieces that she has designed. The hanger for the back of the crucifix. Now it's back to Tom's shop to try to determine whether or not a glue test will even work. On this odd metal, we don't even know what it is, and a lot of the pieces are so twisted we can't even use them. I helped put the finger assembly back together. We determined probably we could use these pieces, but there will be gaps. Tom makes reference marks, then cleans both pieces with a wire brush to adhere good adhesion.
Items such as broken fingers and smaller broken pieces, we are bonding back together with JB Weld.
JB Weld is a 2-part epoxy. It's 24-hour cure. Tom puts the 2-part epoxy on both the arm and the fingers. He lines up his reference lines, then takes little wooden bridges and using super glue, keeps the pieces together for 24 hours. This sure beats having to hold those pieces together for 24 hours. Once the first finger is set, Tom flips over the arm and fills in the crack with more of the 2-part epoxy. The excess will get ground down later. And now it's ready to sit. We're going to let this sit overnight. We've got the finger assembly. Tom once again makes his reference lines. Clean off the pieces with a wire brush. Yes, they still fit together. Tom mixes up more 2-part epoxy, puts on more bridges, and more super glue. After 24 hours, Tom gives it the strength test. Thumbs up. Tom now breaks off the little wooden bridges, and the pieces he couldn't break off, he grinds down with a Dremel tool. There's our finger assembly, ready to go back on the arm. Tom grinds down the other bridges, test fit the finger assembly, clean everything with a wire brush, more epoxy, more super glue. There's a lot of metal missing on the hand. We have to fill in the gap with 2 layers of this epoxy. I'll have to sculpt that with a Dremel tool so that it ensures that it looks like fingers again. In the meantime, Tina's metal test is probably ready.
Well, we completed our test, and since the soldering on this very old material that's been outdoors for 80 years is not going to work on that old pot metal, we're going to take a whole different tack.
The metal is too old, it's too contaminated, and so we're going to have to use modern adhesives, and we're just going to have to glue him back together like a puzzle.
Our first big day's work actually involved getting out to San Gabriel Mission.
The San Gabriel Mission is a beautiful place. It's been there since the 1700s. It was founded by Father Junipero Serra. There are reportedly 6,000 people buried here: Indians, settlers, priests. The grounds are just gorgeous, with fountains and long corridors. It's very green, very serene and beautiful, except for the fact that there's no crucifix here right now. Here's the remnants of the tree that hit it. The crucifix was dedicated in 1935 on Good Friday. We need to make sure that it is ready for the rededication on Good Friday 2012. When we got to the mission, we were greeted by John. He's one of the volunteers here, and he was a crack-up. John's going to go find the keys. We had to wait for the keys. The room where the statue was kept was alarmed. Well, he's found the keys. And when we finally got in, as we walk into the room, we see the broken statue. Wow, what a sight. And there he was. It was really terrible to see him in that condition. We knew we had to get him back and get him fixed as soon as we could. Now we need to determine whether or not we can even lift him. We need to be careful getting him out because there are sharp pieces that can hit the corridors. Tom and Tina and I carried the statue out ourselves. It was really heavy.
We have to fix him.
He's heavy.
He fell.
Really heavy.
You okay, honey?
Yeah, fine.
With the statue safely out of the building, we make our way through the parking lot and out to the car to take him back to the shop to start figuring out how we're going to do this. He's in the car, we say our goodbyes, and now the real work begins.
As originally thought, it turns out we're going to use a number of different materials and a number of different processes to repair the crucifix.
Tom starts to prepare the body. He puts a hairdryer inside to warm up the metal and covers up all the holes to try to keep the heat in. The first plates that Tina has made are now being fit. Tom makes his reference lines and takes the plate and places it inside to make sure that it fits properly. Tom now mixes up Hysol, which is an aerospace 2-part epoxy. The amount of hardener is critical, so Tom uses a calculator and a gram scale. It has to be exact or it won't work. Tom slowly mixes this because the hardener doesn't want to stay in the resin. Then he thickens the mixture with cotton flocks until it looks like frosting. Tom then smears this mixture on the inside of the statue as well as on the outside of the plates. Nice and thick with no gaps. He places the plate inside the body and clamps it down. This is where it will stay for 24 hours while it cures. He repeats the process on the other hole. So far, everything is going swimmingly. Tom then mixes up more of the 2-part epoxy and puts in the one piece of the back that was actually usable.
And so we had to manufacture a back. The pieces were gone. And so I made that from carbon fiber cloth and Shell Epon aircraft epoxy resin. And then those were bonded in place along with the steel backing plate to which he would hang from using Hysol, which is a purely aerospace resin, and a number of different fillers as required.
Tom takes his pre-made backing plates and fits them one more time. They're perfect. Where the tape is where his resin is going to go. He now peels off the tape, roughs it up with a wire brush. One more test fit. Now it's time to mark. The mock-up metal plate is put across to make sure that it also will bridge these holes perfectly. Tom mixes up more JB Weld. He puts it on his carbon fiber plates as well as on the back of the statue. Now they're put in place. And then tapes them down for 24 hours. He then puts the hairdryer inside one of the broken arms and tapes off the hole in the other just to keep the heat inside. This will help everything cure. It's time to check back in with Tina